Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jamie.
I'm Justina.
And this is Just So You Know.
And just so you know, I just asked Jamie another Disney question and she completely failed with confidence.
If you guys didn't see our episode last week, go watch me fail miserably at a Disney test.
Well, technically it's not last week, but one of our previous episodes.
Okay, well, go watch it. So today, everybody, we have an episode coming at you about toxic masculinity and veganism.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Just kidding. I didn't want to give them that because I like to say, bro.
Well, who's more manly, me or you?
That's a good question. I think we balance each other out when we're with each other. Obviously, I'm the least articulate. I think we balance each other out together.
Yeah.
But sometimes when a male is not truly in their masculine, somebody's going to wear the pants. So I'll put my pants on.
I'm the one wearing the pants today, honey.
Today I'm not wearing pants, but that doesn't mean I'm not wearing the pants.
Well, what makes somebody masculine?
That's a good question, but why, first of all, why is this cricket? Okay, that's better. And
because some people think that eating meat makes them masculine or manly or...
Absolutely not. I think masculinity it's about leadership. You know, I think leadership goes hand in hand with masculinity, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a quote unquote male. You know, leadership is so important in masculinity. Decisiveness, you know, groundedness with your choices, you know, being decisive.
I think also you see the words domination when it comes to masculinity. You see having power, authority, control. And I think there's a lot of, you know, positives to masculine traits, but there's also negatives. And when it comes to cultural standards, societal standards, it can be very, very dangerous. Some of the pressures that society places on men.
For sure. We don't talk about it that much. I mean, we talk about how much we really enjoy male company. Like, we love men. This is not a man-hating episode. It's just guys, we need you episode.
Yes.
Because you guys are so powerful, and you know,
the animals need you guys.
Yeah, the animals, the world needs men to step into their power instead of like getting confused on what that means, you know? Because power can be associated very negatively because people tend to lean in that direction, you know? It's the bully syndrome, it's the insecurity, loudness, but it's like, channel that and make the right choices with power, like not eating animals,
right,
and taking care of your women.
I think a lot of what holds some men back actually from going vegan is the societal pressure and this notion that you need to be manly, and they're worried about what their friends are going to say about them or what they're going to think. And so today we have the manliest of men, Dominic. Manly man.
Sorry.
As I was saying, Dominic Thompson coming on the podcast. He is an athlete. He's a vegan activist. He is a dog dad.
Yep. He's a dog dad. He's a dog dad.
And you're going to hear it from him. He's a man. He's a dude. He's going to talk about how going vegan either was challenging or not. And he's going to give advice to people that are either trying to go vegan, how to handle social situations, how to, if you're a woman and you have a non-vegan partner, how to communicate with them, you know, better to hopefully get them to go vegan and see the light.
Yeah, I mean, when I first found out about Dominic, I remember being like, holy crap, he is totally like the image of someone who most people wouldn't think would be vegan. You know, and that's a really weird thing to say because what does a vegan look like, period, right? Like there's no box to fill when it comes to the visual aspect and concept of what vegans look like. So I feel like he definitely was such a big pillar in the movement because people were like, wait, what the fuck? You're vegan?
Well, he's a big dude.
Yeah. He's a big dude. He's a man of color, and he is not of your generation. You know, he's been doing this for a minute, and it's like, wow, so you got on the bandwagon before it became trendy, you know? So it's like really admirable. And I was like, who is this guy? Got to follow this guy. Everyone needs to follow him and realize that change is possible, and like that could start on your plate.
Absolutely. I love how you said that there's no one way of being vegan or one way to look like when being vegan, that anybody can be vegan, whether you're a gigantic athlete, you know, a man that is manly, or if you are
tiny ballerina, you know?
Thank you. Exactly. Exactly. Being kind to animals is for everybody.
Yeah, it's universal.
Absolutely. So without further ado, guys, let's have Dominic Thompson on the podcast.
Let's bring his ass on the hot seat.
It's like, I'm not your typical vegan that went vegan because it was cool on social media. I stopped eating meat in federal prison when I was 21. I made that decision right there to do a hard reset, and I created this mantra that if it requires harm, then I don't want to have anything to do with it. And I never looked back, and that was about 23 years ago.
You talk about going vegan in federal prison. You're surrounded by men. I want to hear what that transition was like, and maybe some of the social challenges you faced, maybe even the physical challenges, because I'm guessing they didn't have seitan.
Yeah, they didn't have Gardein and Beyond Meat and all of that, these faux products that helped me transition. Yeah, it was challenging in some capacities, but when you are dialed in and you are convicted of your passions, right? You don't care. We didn't have the science and the data back then to know what eating plant-based can do to the human body specifically. All I know is that I didn't want to have anything to do with harm and hurting animals. So I would trade my meat protein with my cellmates for their carbs. So I ate a lot of simple and complex carbs.
He's the man now. Give me that. And you're like, oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, they thought I was crazy. They would say, you're crazy and you're weird. I can't believe you're doing this, Dom. And, you know, I was like, this is something my heart is telling me to do.
Did you influence any other people there?
Yeah, I did influence a couple guys, but just to maybe do the reducitarian approach. But no one else in my section, in my cell, on my deck, none of them. The most guys would just not eat pork or beef. There was a lot of guys that practiced that for their religious purposes, but I was the only plant-eating dude there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when we talk about cultural pressures when it comes to manliness and when it comes to being tough and strong, I want you to take us back to your growing up and what landed you in prison, and maybe how these societal pressures led you there. Tell us about that.
You know, experiencing that and then growing up, you know, I had to do what I had to do. And I'm going to save y'all all the details of what I did, but I used to be big in the streets in terms of selling drugs, not using or abusing. I want to make it clear, I didn't go to jail for violence. I went to jail because I was selling.
Yeah.
You know? So that landed me in federal prison. And it was there that I made that hard reset and that decision to stop eating meat, because I was trying to figure out.
Like, I love plants. Plants got me here. Plants are getting me out of here.
Well, it was a little bit of a harder plant, the cocaine plant that got me there, you know, in terms of what we was doing. Yeah, life deals us cards sometimes, and you just have to play that game in order to get out that game.
Right,
so,
and see
I
the
did.
light.
Yeah,
You did.
I retired, but
I retired.
I did. I went to school for architecture and
nice.
College, but that lifestyle called back up to me when I was in school. That's when I got indicted, when I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a one last score type of situation where a childhood friend of mine really needed a favor for me to get him out of, and so happened it was a setup that landed me back into that scenario. So yeah,
all happened for a reason.
It's part of our journey, right?
It is. It made me a better man.
Yeah,
it made me really a better man.
Do you think you would have gone vegan if you hadn't had the time to sit, pause, and think?
I don't think I would have went as early.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I would have, for sure, because like I said, one thing I didn't discuss when I was sitting in my prison cell that first week there, everything pointed to this memory when I was 8 years old. My mom used to feed us chicken wings, because that's really all we can afford is pork chops and chicken wings. And it was that moment in that memory that came back to that kitchen table, similar to this table right here. But she would have some fried chicken in front of me, and I'm looking at those chicken wings, and I looked at her, and I looked at those wings, and I looked at myself and my arms, and I just pushed back, and I was like, I can't do this. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, they look like little bitty arms. And it's kind of very hard and challenging for a single black mom that's working multiple jobs to keep the lights on as a nurse, you know. In the 80s, my mom was an LPN nurse, and anyone knows anything about LPN nurses, they don't get paid nothing, especially back then. Right. And she just, it's not like she could run to Google, like, what do I feed this kid now?
Yeah, exactly.
This kid is not wanting to eat, and all they know, you know, back then, parenting, all you know is just like they have to eat meat. They should eat meat.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, I don't want it. So she said to me, like, you know, my mom is a no-nonsense type of woman. I love her to death. If you ever meet her, she has the biggest heart.
Aww.
Would take off her jacket for anyone that needs it and give her last to anyone that needs it. She has a big heart. But she in that moment was like, well, then you're not going to eat.
Right.
But I'm a chip off the old block. I'm a straight shooter, and I speak my mind. I said, well, then I'm not going to eat.
Already he's like, I don't care.
Yeah, just I'm not doing it. It's just disgusting to me. And because I would even get grossed out by people
I
that
was
would
the
eat chicken
freako
wings.
that would chew on the bones. I was that
You
freako.
was?
I would chew on the bones and like eat the inside. Like I was a psychopath. So like
you was like sucking it out like.
I could put it in my mouth and pull it out just bones, and I was
See.
like, actually, I'm gonna chomp on these bones.
Yeah.
That's how crazy I was. Like, and now I'm like vegan as fuck. So like, it's possible.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You have a very unique situation where you had that time to have a
Isolate,
quiet,
yeah.
isolate and really think through and have this awakening. But what do you think holds a lot of men back in particular from making the switch to going vegan?
I think the influences of other men and more celebrities or hyper fixated male influencers or celebrities that are encouraging them to eat a lot of meat.
Right.
Big Ag has a lot of big ads out there where they're targeting men to be manly.
Right.
Since the dawn of day
Right.
of us having commercial, traditional media has always targeted men to eat more meat specifically. And traditionally, thank God we are in a more progressive society, but traditionally the women in the household will follow the lead of the male.
Right.
And I'm so glad that has flopped or switched, at least equal, where, you know what I mean? Because I'm not about that life. I think
He
a
said
woman.
equal. He said 3 women to 1 man is equal.
He's like, I want my girlfriend taking me out to eat.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. But I think it's pretty amazing to see the progress women have made in society where they should be sitting at the table making decisions for sure. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But back then, you know, they targeted the males because the males would be the ones that was the primary breadwinners and the providers of the family. And they'll target them with the ads and the commercials. So it's been conditioned, especially in Western culture, for us as men to eat burgers, chicken, whatever we need to do to eat. Because there was even one point where chicken was viewed as feminine, like a clean meat, a white meat.
That's
you all
true.
maybe wasn't around back then, but it has went through its different.
Right, because like burgers, beef, men,
bulking up.
Yeah, bulking up. And all.
Versus slimming down.
With all of that, like with the social conditioning, like did you experience anybody in your friend circle or in your family that like made fun of you? Like what would you, or not necessarily make fun of you because that sounds childish, but like jab at you and like made backhanded comments? Like if so, what happened, and like what advice would you give to other people that are
I would
going
have beat
through
their
that?
ass. You know?
That's what I would
you
say.
were big
Punch on the face.
Yeah. Well, I have always been a no nonsense type of guy.
Right.
Anyone that knows me from my childhood, there are some humans you just can't fuck with, or they're not like indecisive. I have always been decisive, and sometimes people confuse my decisive energy with being assertive.
Right.
And sometimes people can confuse being assertive with being aggressive, and it's just not.
I know the feeling. I'm a woman, so I get that 3 times more. They're like, "What? Not a woman who knows what she wants."
Suddenly you're now bitchy.
Yeah.
If you're assertive.
Exactly.
So you ladies understand exactly, and with that, when I said I'm vegan and I'm not eating meat, they was like, okay, listen, we know I only had to say it once.
Whoa, he probably said it with it. He was like, I'm vegan now. And they were like, oh.
It wasn't that experience, but yeah, you know, my mom was the first to embrace it.
Okay.
Like
Did she go vegan?
No, she eats primarily plant-based. Yeah,
Okay.
so she's been transitioned. She barely eats meat. I'm really
Right.
proud of her journey. And my niece right now is vegan. My
Aw.
nephews and them are plant-based, and when I say plant-based, they eat primarily plant-based, all
Right.
from my influence.
Right.
So they definitely been influenced by my decisions.
What would you say to people who are dating non-vegans? Like, how is it, like women who are dating non-vegans?
Yeah, you know, I get that question a lot in the audience when I'm doing these speaking engagements, because it's
Speaking for a friend.
Just speaking for friends. Yeah.
it's a couple ways to look at it, right? One, you have to see how deep involved you're in that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
like if it's new or fresh. But you know, if you see the signs that they have a closed mind, like
Right.
I wholeheartedly believe in when it comes to dating, they need to have an open mind,
Right.
vegan or not. Because we know vegans with closed mind that don't care about human rights or
1,000%.
don't care about other shit happening in the world. They just
Yeah.
care about only their plant-based diet and that bubble they live in.
Right,
That's not
right.
for me.
Right,
I can't.
right,
I can't. At least in an intimate way, in a
Yeah.
romantic way, I couldn't do that. But you should be dating someone with an open mind. So if a guy or a girl has an open mind and they're willing to try, then it's okay during that courtship part of dating or filling them out. But if you're in a exclusive traditional relationship and you're the one that went vegan, you got to make some decisions if you care as far as ethics is concerned, because more than likely that male or that female is not going to go vegan. And if they do, that's great, because you see some success stories where the partner finally went vegan.
Yeah.
But how long is that going to take? 1
Right.
year, 10 years?
Right.
Where you're enabling that type of behavior. Because if
Right.
it was me, I just couldn't. That is a hard line. I'm not having dead animal body parts in my refrigerator that
Right.
if we live together. That's a no.
It must be very different as a guy hearing from other men being like,
Not at all, because
"Oh."
you are who you are.
But you made that choice.
Right, but
This is someone like kind of hoping and embracing you to come into the journey, into the lifestyle. My journey took me over 12 years. So
Sure.
I have like some sort of compassion and understanding.
I think the main thing is that he is a man.
Right.
You are a woman, and he
Right.
looks at you and he thinks, oh, veganism is a feminine thing.
Right.
And it's working for you
Yeah.
because you're a girl, you don't need as much protein.
Right.
And he uses these excuses to continue his habits. And I think it would be a lot different if you were
Right.
the guy and
Yeah.
he were the girl.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't be able to use some of those same excuses still.
Right.
Because it goes back
it's
to
the social,
these
it's the social
pressures.
aspects.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
really
but
what it
that's
is.
when you really dial into that intelligence as a human being, like that intellect, that traditions and culture things are made to be broken.
Exactly.
Traditions are actually what's got us in trouble and where we at right now
Exactly.
with society, the hate towards each other, the climate change, and more. But if he's not changing, sometimes you just got to cut that person off to show them that you mean business. Or if you want to continue to support him, if you really love him, that's your business to do.
Right.
But you got to make that decision if this guy or girl is going to change.
What
Right.
would you want to tell that male partner, though, in terms of like getting enough protein? What would your
You could definitely
advice
get protein.
Yeah.
I haven't withered away. It's been 23 years. I'm one of the strongest vegan guys you would ever meet.
What about boobs? Male boobs?
Yeah, well,
Man boobs.
what's that shit
I
about?
don't know. Do these look like male boobs?
Whoa. I don't know.
Yeah,
Are they
no.
titties? I don't know.
No, yeah. I mean, I can flex them, but
I mean, honestly, since I've gone vegan, I've actually lost my boobs, which was a prayer. I was like, please, God, take away my titties. And when I went vegan, I lost them. So, I mean, I think you get more boobs when you drink hormonal-based dairy
there's
products.
no science to support the fact that men or women are going to have any issues with their health,
Right.
specifically, whether we talking thyroid or hormonal issues and anything of that capacity. That's been debunked over
Right.
and over again. So no, a
Right.
guy's not going to get boobs specifically or
From
anything
soy.
like that.
Like,
yeah.
shut the freak
No.
up.
Yeah.
You were saying before you love your tofu.
Yeah, I love tofu. I
Yeah.
love all forms of it, whether we talking in a soy-based product, like a soy-based plant milk, that's clean, of course, or tempeh, fermented tempeh.
Is that how you get your protein? How do you get your protein? How do you build your muscles?
Yeah, so the whole protein, the good news is, historically, that was the number one question most vegans would get, like, where do you get your protein?
Right.
And now we have advanced as a society enough that people know that anything that's really edible, biologically speaking, has protein.
Right.
Like anything that's consumable has protein. Cereal, your most processed cereal has some form of protein in it.
Thank you for saying that. Because people forget that protein
They
is everywhere.
forget it. It's everywhere. Now, the type of protein, the quality of protein is what you want to really aim for. And the purest and cleanest and most healthiest form of protein is plants. If you stop eating animals, you're removing them. They're the middleman. They're, just go directly to the source, which is plants.
What are your favorite sources of protein that aren't tofu, like that most men probably don't think about?
I love a lot of fruit. So when I used to be an Ironman triathlete.
We were like,
We love fruit too.
Yeah. People forget how incredibly nutritious and how incredibly macro dense that these and micro these fruits are, specifically with a lot of great nutrients and vitamin A's, B's, and C's. And I get a lot of that from fruit. I love a lot of sauteed chickpeas. I cook almost every day. I love leafy greens, potatoes. I'm still a potato guy. I'm from the Midwest, Chicago. So I love having my different forms of potatoes, where we're talking purple potatoes, traditional Idaho potatoes, or Japanese potatoes, or sweet potatoes.
He knows his potatoes, y'all.
It's a belated International Potato Day.
Is it?
It was the other day.
I did
not know
you
that.
didn't know that.
I did not know
just
that.
so
I
you
feel like
know.
every day is a happy something day,
Right.
Yeah.
It's aggressive. I'm like, what's today?
Hallmark is
Happy
taking
curtain
advantage
day.
of us.
It's curtain day.
I feel like a lot of guys will say to me, well, I don't want to lose weight. And when I tried going vegan, I dropped so much weight.
That's my brother's thing. He's like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, here's the thing. For men and women both need to understand that you more than likely will lose weight, but you're losing inflammation. You're losing weight that you shouldn't have,
weight.
that you're not designed.
Right.
Natural selection, every human being has a different design, the way they was created.
Right.
And sometimes that weight is good weight. You're looking like yourself, like you should look, specifically, and own up to that. Now, if you want to gain weight and muscle, you can work at that too. You can get it. You can point them to people like myself and others that are vegan athletes, current and former, that show the world that you can be strong and big, being plant-based specifically. So if you want to gain weight, you can do it on a vegan diet without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt, y'all. So
Yeah, without a doubt.
Shut the front door.
It's so funny, though, because people will say that eating plants doesn't make you manly. Meanwhile, eating meat can actually lead to things like erectile dysfunction.
Right.
And things that make you the least manly, in my opinion,
The
to people. But
vegan diet is definitely the holistic and most purest way to a form of the blue pill for guys.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you guys have partners in your life that are vegan or not, with your education.
Well, my partner is mostly plant-based.
Right. So, but if you, and not to compare, but
yeah.
sexually,
Yeah.
that experience is different, right?
It is.
Right.
It's so different. It's like, damn, time out. You're like so much energy, like so much
Time
energy.
out.
Yeah, so much
So
energy.
much energy.
Yeah, I mean,
all those mangoes.
Yeah.
And also, they smell better.
we
Definitely.
smell better, we taste better, we
for
perform
sure.
better. It's just
It's in the science,
it's a different lover.
Lever.
Yeah.
Oh, lover. I think
Lover.
it's level.
Not
Like he was like
lever, yeah.
lever.
Nah.
It's a different lever.
Yeah, a different lover for sure. But yeah, you're right. It is associated with a lot of issues. And now the new science and data shows that if you eat a whole plant-based diet, you are activating good genes. And if you eat a traditional Western diet, you are more than likely activating your bad genes.
Exactly.
So if you want to do some reversing and gain some strength and do reverse aging, most of us don't look our age.
Right.
Plant-based diet is a great way to.
He don't look his age. That's for sure.
Appreciate
How
that.
old are you?
45.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I was going to say 31, 32.
Yeah,
Oh,
you look a
appreciate
whole
that.
at least decade younger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all.
I need to
For
start.
real.
remembering that we're gonna look good. We're gonna look good.
So, I mean, when we talk about studies that are coming out and showing just health on a plant-based diet, it's endless. And people, you can look into this. These are peer-reviewed studies. Physicians Committee, they have PCRM.org. There's a lot of studies on there. And specifically, one that comes to mind is Game Changers, where they took 3 college athletes and they fed them on the first night a meat-based burrito. And they looked at their erections throughout the night, and they found that on the second night when they fed them a plant-based burrito, they found that the athletes actually had stronger and harder erections and longer erections.
Stronger, longer, faster, longer.
Using the plant-based burritos. I think it said it was a 300 to 500% increase in erection duration compared to the night that they ate the meat-based burrito.
Eat your vegan burritos, fellas.
Yeah.
The erection is real, fellas.
Whoa.
It is real.
So you want to talk about being manly? Hello.
Yeah. What is masculinity and being a man mean to you?
Sure. I think masculinity, if we're talking more so with males being masculine, because women can be masculine,
for sure,
just like males can have feminine energy and have feminism. I have feminine energy just as well as I have masculine energy.
You do. You definitely do.
Yeah, and that's just my passion and compassion for humans and animals specifically. But yeah, masculinity, no matter the gender, is about protection. You know, it's like stepping up to the plate to protect the weak and the vulnerable from things that they simply can't control. Animals and even some humans just don't have a voice or an opportunity or a platform in 2024 where they can actually say something about what's really happening out here. So to me, masculine energy is really that energy within that human spirit that is becoming a hero and stepping in to kind of cause either disruption in a good way or and protection always in a good way as well.
The strong protect the weak.
They do.
I really do believe that.
I believe in that too.
I think people are just confused because you go on social media and then you see people like Paul Saladino, Joe Rogan, they kind of portray this image of being a man and they are hunters and they defend, they're dominant, and then they confuse the public into thinking that you need to go on a carnivore diet.
I agree. You have a lot of male influencers at the micro level as well as the macro level. The Joe Rogans of the world, they view them as Lord Rogan or the Andrew Tates of the world. Get out of here. Where they're influencing these men to definitely kind of like take a step back in society where a guy should be, shooting and hunting and dismissing women and just being barbaric in their behavior. And it's very real. You can see it growing more and more and more politically and even in some of our circles, specifically in communities where that's just not acceptable behavior. We should not be going backwards in time with respect to that. So, yeah, you see a lot of that. And toxic behavior in the male trait as well as, and that's why I get so exhausted from the gender wars.
I know.
There's just toxic humans.
Exactly.
Because you have a lot of these women influencers that announce that they're ex-vegan and they're going into this whole regenerative farm, these fancy words, or homesteading and encouraging people to drink raw milk.
Right.
And
so
do all of
dangerous.
that. It's so dangerous. So we just have a lot of toxic humans on both sides of the fence, for sure.
I will say that Paul Saladino did come out and say that after going on his carnivore diet for a while, he experienced heart palpitations and a dip in testosterone.
Yeah, I don't have, personally, from what I've seen of the guy, I just learned of him recently.
Yeah, I don't know who the heck he is.
Yeah, he's the guy that's always in front of a grocery aisle with it saying something about a processed food or pointing to a specific meat. He's just
good or bad?
Bad. He's always trying to get people to eat more meat historically, and now some recent clips surfaced that he might have got it wrong. But it doesn't seem authentic. I view him as a grifter. I think he's an opportunist. So you have to be careful on who we platform that are just trying to be in the public spotlight and to get people to talk about them. That's a true trait of a narcissist.
Yeah.
When they want to have all eyes on them at all times, whether it be something that we believe in with our own biases or something that we don't believe in with our biases.
And they're perpetuating harm. I mean,
Yes.
look at Liver
Yes.
King. Who looks at that man and
Liver
wants
King?
to be that?
I forgot all about that
Who
guy.
the heck
Yeah,
is
I forgot
Liver
about
King?
that guy. Yeah, Liver King.
Eats raw meat.
No.
Yes.
Well, what would you say to someone who has an open mind, a man specifically, a man who has an open mind? What would you say to them? What's the best advice or like the best way to get them to listen?
So everyone has their reasons or what really keeps them involved and interested in any type of topic, whether we're talking their food, their diet, their health, their lover, anything like that. So you got to identify what's really making this guy or this
Tick.
girl exciting about that topic specifically. They might be a nerd that likes data. Introduce them to, give them my cookbook or give them some other cool cookbooks out there. Or they might be a movie buff. Introduce them to some cool movies that have that information in there where they make that specific connection.
What about some random stranger that you have no understanding of what their ticks? If you saw a guy, they're like, "Oh, I've been thinking about it. I like eating plant-based." What is something you can hook them in?
Just being honest and having a heart-to-heart with them about it. Just like we're having like a very intimate conversation right now. Like, don't try to sell them on something like you're a salesman like that. Like, hey, listen, man, you got to go eat meat like that. I just don't communicate like that. And I feel like when you are very soft-spoken and very direct and having a heart-to-heart, people know. Sometimes people know. And don't feel discouraged because sometimes family and loved ones, if you have an intimate relationship with, they're not going to hear anything you have to say. Sometimes it has to come from a stranger.
Well, what I love about the even just diversity that we have here is that people that I talk to might not go vegan from me talking to them, but they might go vegan from hearing it from you.
1,000%.
I agree.
Different people are going to relate to each one of us because we all come from different backgrounds, and that's the beauty of veganism is that it can be something that encompasses everybody from all different backgrounds. Your growing up was very different from mine. Mine was very different from yours, and yet we're still all able to come together and just recognize that what we do to animals is violent, cruel, and unnecessary.
I told, believe it was about 8 years ago, me and Rich Rowe was having this conversation. And I told him, like, you got to look at our community as like the Avengers. There are some people who love Captain America, this clean cut, jaw-chinned dude, and there's some people like, fuck that guy, but they want a guy with a cape. They might like, Black Panther or Thor or Iron Man, so everyone has that type of individual, woman or male, and there's some incredible women superheroes out there, by the way, that they say, hey, I want to look like Jamie, I want to like Justina, or I want to be like them. And that's okay because not everybody wants to look and experience what you have to say, but they may want to experience something I have to say, and we have to work together like the Avengers to do that. So if you find yourself having a challenging conversation with some men, call me up. And vice versa. If I'm having challenges trying to convince some women in different capacities, because you just cannot go into certain communities expecting people to be like, aha, and have that aha moment, especially if they don't identify with you culturally at all, specifically.
What is next for you, and where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me online at Doms Thompson, DOMZ, THOMPSON. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, you name it. What we have going on now, as I mentioned, my book is coming out in January. Really excited about that project. Specifically, it's the first of many books. But it's a really great book dubbed as Eat What Elephants Eat, which is plants. You can also find our company, Eat What Elephants Eat, just at Eat What Elephants Eat. If you need help transitioning, you need ideas for recipes and more, you can find that online. As I mentioned, we are shooting a movie based on my life story.
Can't wait for that.
So excited about that project. That will be out probably by the end of next year.
Wow,
so
that's fast.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Well, we're going to shoot it this summer, but the end of next year, fourth quarter, give or take.
You need an actor.
Yeah.
I could be an extra.
Yeah,
I'd
for
be like,
sure.
go vegan.
I'll be an extra.
Yeah, that's all I could say.
For sure. I'm not in charge of the casting project, but
You never are.
you never are. I am an advisor and producer for it, but really excited about that project coming out.
Thank you for everything that you are doing. You're changing lives, and your story is so inspiring. I think that this is a super important topic, and I hope that people listening to this today can think through some of these topics and hopefully implement some of your suggestions and advice into their lives. And remember, the strong protect the weak.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Meat does not make you manly.
It does not at all. It makes you kind of, if anything, I'm going to borrow their terminology, it kind of makes you weak and shows your intellect.
It does. It does show that you're weak.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your vulnerability, Dom.
Yeah. No, thank you. And thank you all for having me on this show. You all are doing an amazing job. I appreciate both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you guys rate us, like us, subscribe.
Comment, share this to your guy, your dad, your brother, your uncle, and let them know that it is okay to step outside of what they believe masculinity means in this society.
Absolutely. You can go follow us at Just So You Know Podcast.
Yes.
I'm at It's Jamie's Corner.
I'm at Justina.Justina.
You guys know the drill.
We'll be
back.
back.
We'll be back. We'll be back.